we all have something that we have a hope on, in life. And then when that doesn't happen, then people will go into very, very dark place, and some people never come out of it, right?
Right,
And
right.
when opportunities are like that, you have to exist. You have to continue to show up, and you have to show up for yourself. Soon as you show up for yourself, then you ended up showing up for other people. But you don't show up for other people. You have to learn the skills to show up for yourself first.
Financial independence,
freedom,
financial picture,
Independent financially,
financial future,
financial freedom and wealth,
financial independence.
Get your fill, financial independence and long life. Hello and welcome to another episode of Get Your Fill, financial independence and long life, where we explore ways to achieve those two goals, and really cool, interesting, fun people come on to help us. And I think today you're really going to be enjoying yourself a lot, hopefully as much as I do, although I don't know if it's possible. Today, Sun Yong Kim-Manzolini is with us. She grew up as an orphan, and now she is a self-made millionaire. So no silver spoon in her mouth. She's a CEO, she's a published author of 2 books, and she's a life coach and a mentor. And I think when you start listening to her, you're going to understand what a super life coach and mentor she is. Sun Yong, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you, Christine. I'm just glad to be here and really delightful.
And you are really delightful. I have to say, like, not everybody is so smiley and happy and right. Like, I'm having a good time. Life is good. And but before we started the recording, sorry, a lot of the good stuff happened before we started the recording. Before we started the recording, Sun Yong and I were talking about putting yourself out there, right? This video, right? Sitting here on Zoom with our faces looking like they look, without like having a professional makeup person come in and do us up, right? Just putting ourselves out there and being authentic, and how like that's just not always so easy. So can you talk some more about that, Sun Yong?
Sure. Yes, it is really, really important, I think, that we just be ourselves, because there's so many times where I've been a CEO and an entrepreneur for 10 years after I retired from my normal 9 to 5 job for 33 years. And I had a business and everything, but I never got on the camera. I never really even said anything online. And one of my mentors says, okay, your family know that they know what you do, but nobody else knows like what you do. Like nobody knows like you even exist, And it's like, really? And it's like, yeah, like we have no idea what you do, So you need to start like, come out of your comfort zone and start showing up in the video. And I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. Like I gotta do that. I didn't know that was a part of being an entrepreneur. But he really mentions like, yeah, you have such a good business and you're teaching something, he came as a client to, have me teach him what, he needed. And he says, it is so good, but like nobody knows. And so it's just like he says, like having a store, but you're keeping your store door shut. So nobody could come into your store to buy things. It's like, wow, that is like a really true thing. So I think behind the stage, as far as like, coming on here, just the way we are, I think that if we wait till we have all the right, like makeup done by professionals, like you mentioned earlier, and like right outfits and make sure that we look really perfect, almost perfect, for being on the videos or whatever, we'll never do it.
Right.
I mean, I would never even, and say, I would tell Christine and say, Christine, I'm sorry, I love to, but I just don't have a, really good makeup artist, and I don't have a professional, looking as far as when it comes to outfits and all that. I would say, no, thank you. But, it's really important to kind of show up as we are, because let's say we spend the money to have our makeup artist do our makeup and all that. Are we going to be comfortable? No, that's not how we are every day. We don't hire somebody to do our makeup like movie stars and things. That's not I am. It's like I just show up the way I am and, try to put an eyebrow so that maybe you could see my eyebrows through virtual video. The reason I mention it is because when I used to watch my son do a play at a high school, and I said, why do you put makeup on? He goes, well, our teacher says we have to. And he goes, because people can't see us, like they can't see whether we have eyebrows or eyelashes and things. It's like, oh,
Right.
that makes sense because it's such a fall away. And so
Yeah.
that makes sense. So I think it's same thing. Just kind of highlight or eyebrows a little bit if you don't have a thick eyebrows, or maybe if your lipstick doesn't show, your lip is not visible, just put a little lipstick on to kind of highlight your lips, and just very basics. But it's really interesting. But I could tell so many reasons why, nope, I don't want to be on a podcast interview as a guest. No, I don't want to be that because my voice doesn't sound right the way I listen to myself, and my image. We could just go on and on and on and come up with like 10,000 reasons, 100,000 reasons why we cannot show up for different things what we do.
Right.
And we
Well, and
just
what we were
have to
talking
cut that
about,
through.
yeah, what we were talking about before was Instagram, right? Doing your
Yeah.
online posting. And I remember I was at a real estate convention. I'm a real estate broker, and I was at a convention, and they were like, it was years ago when people were just sort of starting to do their own videos and stuff on
Uh-huh.
Facebook and stuff. And he's like, okay, how many people here have, do regular videos on Facebook? Like maybe
No.
one person raised their hand. He's like, okay, everyone, right now, I want you to take out your phone and I
Uh-huh.
want you to just record. So the whole room was recording, and it just sort of broke the spell for me. I was just like, who cares, right? One might,
Yeah.
but there are still so many people who are like, I don't like how I look. I don't like how I sound. And, you want to say to them, that is how you look. That
Yeah.
is how you sound. It's not like the camera is screwing you up, this is you.
Yeah.
So just be happy with that, be accepting of that, and think more like I say to people who I coach, do you think it's more important that people know your message, right? You're trying to help people. Don't they need to hear this? Isn't that more important than your vanity? And maybe somebody will say, oh, look at that. She didn't do her hair properly. Oh, she's got a little hair out of place.
Yeah.
You got to get beyond that, right? And
Yeah.
believe that there's a lot more to life than what we all look at, but or look like, I should say. But it's it's just another example, right, of analysis paralysis.
Yeah, exactly. I just did a shorts on my YouTube and Instagram and Facebook, and I put pair of sunglasses on upside down, just like this. The reason is because I'm talking about breaking rules, for example. It's like when it comes to having fun, you could break rules as long as it does not hurt other people and it does not hurt you. You know what I mean? As long
Yeah,
as like you're having fun. And the reason like, being breaking rules and being bold and being different is because I mean, I have a reason why I wear my glasses and my sunglasses upside down is because I have a flat nose, Asian nose, and I don't have a bridge to hold my glasses this way. So when I wear this like this normal, like
they work
everybody
their
is
way down.
wearing, then it leaves me with a huge two hockey stick marks on my nose, like down here. So if I want to take a pictures of anything, it's like there's a big line. I'm like, no, I don't want that. So I just wear like this because this way, like if it touches my nose, it
Yeah,
goes with my wrinkles, just
yeah,
one little, it's just like perfect. And so like people doesn't know what's behind why I'm wearing this, but they can say, oh my gosh, she doesn't know she got her glasses on upside down or whatever, like who cares, right? But I have my reasons behind, and so it's all about like, yeah, this is like crazy, but check out my, Instagram short, like what 60-second reels is just funny.
yeah.
But my husband says, you know what? I have to put my phone upside down to look at you when watching that, message. And I'm like, why? And I go, well, because you're wearing your glasses, sunglasses upside down, like just have fun with it, just have fun. But yeah, it is, life is all about you create your own life and you create your own fun times, you create your own misery, you create your own, like everything. You don't have to have somebody else's permission and say, oh no, I can't believe like you get on the camera wearing your sunglasses upside down.
Hey,
What is your
believe it.
mom's, yeah, like what is your mom's gonna think? What is your family, your kids gonna think? Are they gonna think like you're crazy? So what? It's like
Exactly.
I'm
If they
just
don't know
having
by now,
fun.
the heck with them.
Yeah, it's like I'm having fun and I have my reasons, and like
Yeah.
I didn't even want to explain why, but it's just it's just great.
Yeah.
The life is all about like life is like a playground. It really is. There's so many things that you get to play with and have fun with. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's just really great.
And that's one of the things that I feel like has come to me with age is that liberation, like who gives a crap what anybody
Yeah,
thinks of me? But it doesn't happen to everyone. It's not just a
yeah,
natural thing of age because I know I go to my mom's place, so she's in senior housing. She's 85 and she's got, other women with her. They're all like, "Oh, I can't wear sleeveless tops because my
yeah,
arms are wavy and I have to wear a turtleneck because my neck is wrinkly." I'm like, "Well, you're 85, you're 89 to 90, however old you are. Of course you have a wrinkly neck. Who cares?
yeah,
Like, what do
yeah,
you think people think that, oh, gee, look at that old woman. She's got a wrinkly neck. I mean,
yeah. I know
who could care
exactly.
less, Like,
Yeah,
I don't know. You think if you wear a turtleneck, they're going to think you're 55? I mean, come on. It's just like
yeah.
this is just the way it is. We're aging and it's a beautiful thing. And right?
It
I mean,
really
we just
is.
embrace it and just say, well, you know what? I just love that. I don't give a crap what people
Yeah,
think.
yeah, you have to really enjoy every stages of your life, When my kids are having birthdays every year, and I always ask them, it's like, what do you want to eat for dinner? Like, what can I make for you? What's your favorite meal? Instead of like, I can make any meals and they will be happy, right? Just with as long as they're birthday cakes. But, we have to do things intentionally, like meaningful, and just
Yeah.
say, like I know you love, mac and cheese when they're little. It's like, but what is your favorite meal that would you like me to make for your birthdays, your special day? And I always say to them, and I say, you're gonna go through age 5 only once. You're gonna go through age 16 only once. And once you turn 16, it's gonna be gone. So I don't want to miss out on that opportunity of you turning age 16 or 17, 18. So every age is a very beautiful thing.
Yeah.
And just like life, how people look at life as like, oh, you know what? Life is like really dark and scary and challenging and it's like so many fearful things that like I don't dare to do anything. Or you look at the life as like, what? It is a rainbow full different color, rainbow colors. You gotta taste the rainbow food, rainbow life, experience a rainbow life. And because there's been a times where in my life I thought everything was just I didn't want to live because I thought after what happened to me, like when you mentioned, grew up as an orphan after my mother passed away and after my dad just abandoned us, abandoned my sister and I thought, that's terrible. It's like I don't have a choice because he made a choice. And so if he didn't make the choice, I would have never been an orphan. But because he made a choice, I became an instant orphan. But then also, my sister, after so many years later, she couldn't take care of me anymore, so she had to leave me. That day was like, okay, everything was dark for me. Like I didn't want to live anymore. I don't have anybody to defend for me. And like, what am I supposed to do? I was age, 4 or 5, and she's my only hope.
Yeah.
We all have something that we have a hope on, in life. And then when that doesn't happen, then people will go into very, very dark place and some people never come out of it, right?
Right.
And
Right.
when opportunities are like that, you have to exist. You have to continue to show up and you have to show up for yourself. Soon as you show up for yourself, then you ended up showing up for other people. But you don't show up for other people. You have to learn the skills to show up for yourself first,
Right.
right? Everything. Just like when you go on a vacation, you happen to go on an airplane and they say if there's emergency happens, they show you like you have
Yep.
to put your mask on first.
Right.
So you have to live your
Exactly.
life that way. You have to live for yourself first, not being selfish, but it's about I gotta learn how to tie my own shoes so I could help, teach my kids how to tie their own shoes.
Yeah.
Same thing with other people as well. It's like I gotta learn to do this, this, and this before I could teach to other people. So it's a
Yeah.
very
My
important.
analogy, the life, the air mask is a great analogy. I also like the food analogy, like feed yourself first. And then once you're
Mm-hmm.
satisfied, anything you
Yeah,
share,
yeah,
you're sharing it freely. You're not
Yeah.
like hoping that they give you something to eat now. Like, well,
Yes.
I gave
Yes.
you something now. Now I'm hungry, so you should share your food with me. Well, I don't
Yes.
want to share my food with you, right?
Yeah.
So this idea that if you are full and your life is full, you're satisfied, you have a great life,
Hmm.
anything you give away, you give
Hmm.
freely with no strings attached and
Yeah.
enjoy, right? And
Yeah.
enjoy in abundance. You're not saying, oh, I wish I had that $10 back I gave to that homeless person. I really
Yeah.
could use that right now. You know what I mean, right?
Yeah. You have that resentment. You have that
Exactly. You
resentment,
have the resentment. Exactly
Yeah.
right.
And then that makes you feel like, so I've been through that lifestyle before where, especially when I was a mother, being an orphan where I was like living just from meal to meal at my younger age.
Yeah.
And I have 4 kids now, but they're all grown and kind of went on their own way. But when I was, preparing the food, and I really like enjoy preparing everything because I never got to have that with the mother, like
Yeah.
enjoy cooking and her cooking and things
Right.
like
Right.
that. And so when I cook and I feed, and I used to give like most of all my food, and I would eat a very, very little and make sure that my kids are full. That's because how I grew up. So a lot of times we live a life with how we've been brought up, and that's not really good thing. Like 90 to 95% of us, it's not a really good thing. But I haven't really known anybody that really grew up and how you were talking about, like, we had enough to feed ourselves and then feed others.
Yeah.
But so yeah, I would say, and then I would also make sure never have a seconds, because I wanted to make sure there's enough, seconds for my kids and everything. And then I went through a shift in my life. When I was in my like 40s or so, I went through a shift where it's like, you know what? I'm gonna stop saying yes to everybody, and which brings me a more for my life, my peacefulness, right? So
Right.
my kids were still home at the time, and my daughter, my oldest daughter especially, she says like, "Mom, like you changed," you know, and and I'm glad that she noticed that. But I knew that I changed. I was going through the change on purpose, intentionally. And I was feeling so guilty. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't do this. I can't. I'm so used to living my life with the yes to everybody, even though I had no more time. My plate was like overflowing. There's so much to do. But I was
Yeah.
keep saying yes to people. And then I would get so stressed because there's not a room for me to do anything that I wanted to do. I was doing everybody else's agenda. I was living their agenda,
Right.
you know. And I remember feeling so guilty because we were told like serve others. Especially as a female, we have this natural instinct of like, you gotta serve and serve and serve and serve. And so then we get this mindset of like, okay, we come last. We come very last, And so again, like I cannot mention enough what you said. It's like, yeah, feeding, yourself. And so I found that when I started to feed myself, as I was giving myself equally, with my kids, serving. It's like, okay, I get this, you get this, but it's also the attitude that comes with it too,
Yeah.
because you could say, um, no, I won't need anything. It's all for you guys. I could go with that. But then how your attitude, and then people that are receiving, they feel guilty. They're like, oh my
Yeah.
gosh, Or you could say, and so just the attitude with the facial expressions, the voice, everything that people could read through you, right? Even though they says, "Oh no, thank you, I don't want it," or "Yes, I'll do it," but then you have this like yes, and then resentment. It's like, "Oh, I rather not." Yes, I can't say yes, but you say yes. People could read through just straight through. It doesn't matter. You can't
Right.
pretend your
Well, and
life
it's
through.
also a respect issue.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember being, again, I don't know why this is coming up today. I hardly ever talk about this kind of stuff, but I was at a real estate convention and they were
Uh-huh.
talking about boundaries, and the
Yeah.
woman, the real estate agent, she was crying and she's like, well, what are you supposed to do? These millennials, they expect you to be available 24/7 and blah, blah, blah. And
Hmm.
I just thought, I mean, I work with millennials. They don't, they don't expect me to be available 24/7, but it comes down to the respect you have for yourself.
Hmm.
Other people respect you that much, right? If you
Yes.
don't respect
Yes.
yourself, if you're just giving yourself away, you don't care about your time, you're going to answer the phone at 12:30 at night, then that's exactly how you're going to be treated. And those are the kind of people you're going to attract into your
Yeah.
life, as people who don't respect you and don't, have any boundaries with you.
Yeah, you really create, and that's a really good point, Christine, because I think the people really, we think about it like, wow, it's like I created this kind of life and I attracted this kind of people.
Right.
Like when I remember when I was single, I was married for 14 years and got divorced. And then I told myself, like, I would never get a man that are abusive. But I was keep attracting that kind of man,
Yeah.
even after like 2 years, like, oh, I don't want to have anything to do with men. But then the men did come like and I must have a something. I used to say I must have written something in my forehead and say, okay, I want a loser, like I want a loser guy. That's how I ended up. So really we create ourselves, and so a lot of times like we get mad at ourselves, like for example, like somebody answers the phone at 12:30 at midnight, and then you answer, then that person's gonna call next time. It may be a week later, it may be a month later, it may be a next day. And then when we don't answer, and then other person go, well, wait a minute, you answer. How come you're not answering? Now you're mean. You're being rude, right? It's like, no. So really, it's important to when we engage with our clients, or even with our kids or loved ones, we have to set our boundaries, and also we have to respect their time. And so this is really funny that we're talking about this. So I teach my kids. I got 3 daughters and a son, and I teach my kids to be a strong head and just say no without feeling guilty. You have every right to do that. So I taught my kids that, and I got backfire. So meaning it's like, oh, ouch. So listen to this. So my oldest daughter, so she was living in like 15 minutes away, and she was coming all the way to babysit my youngest son, so I could go on a date. But I left my purse with this guy, I dated like, night before or something, and I couldn't find my purse. And so I told my daughter, I said, hey, on your way, can you stop by and meet this guy to, halfway and pick up my purse? You know? And she says, well, no. And I'm like, and I'm like, wait a minute, like I really
I taught
have
her
to have a,
that. Shit.
yeah, I know exactly. And I'm like, well, yeah, but you can't say no to everything. Like this is really important. It's like I have to have a license because I was meeting another guy, and I have to have my license. Like it's really important. It's just like, no, because, and so and then like when I call her, right? And that's another example. It's like, oh, so maybe, to me it's like it makes perfect sense. Like you can't say no to everything, right? But to her, it's like, no, she doesn't have a time and she doesn't feel like, blah, blah, blah. So
Yeah.
anyway, that's that. But then there's times where I get up really early. Like I get up at 4 in the morning and she goes to work by 7. So sometimes like I'll text her or I'll call her like, 4:30 or 5. And then like she won't answer, but then she'll tell me, it's like, Mom, like we're still asleep. And she's like, my alarm goes off, my phone goes off when you call or whatever. It's like, can you not call me until like 7 o'clock? And so sometimes like we go like, ouch, but then sometimes like we have to realize like, okay, I taught her and she's really, practicing her boundaries, right? And so like good
Yep.
for her. But at the beginning, like at first, like 10 seconds, I was like, oh gosh, crap. Like maybe I wish I never have taught her. But we have to respect people when they practice what we teach them,
Yep.
even with our kids, like, yeah, that's good. And it's really making ourselves become like really truly who we are, how we want to live our life, and with boundaries and respect and everything else. Because when we start to respect ourselves, like you talked about, respecting our, love ourselves, nurture ourselves, and forgive ourselves, all those things, we could do that to other people once we have learned to do those
Exactly.
things. Yeah. So it's a beautiful thing. I think like
Yeah.
this topic is like great.
Yeah,
It's
it
just
is.
so needed.
It is. I really feel like we teach other people how to treat us, right? If someone's rude to you and you accept it, there's nothing to stop them from being rude again. But if someone's rude
Yeah.
to you and you just say, you call them on it, you say,
Yeah.
oh, that seemed rude or that hurt my feelings or something like that.
Yeah.
But I think we're afraid to expose that, right?
Hmm.
Afraid to expose ourselves and say, oh, you hurt my feelings. Then if they want to hurt your feelings, they'll do it again. But again, you don't. you don't want those people in your life.
Well,
So
yeah, true friends are really, they'll stick, thick and through,
let's talk about what happened when your sister finally said, "Okay, look, I can't take care of you." I mean, that was when you were 4 or 5 years old,
Yeah.
and then
Oh,
what? I mean, because I think that at the end of the story, you figure out that you're the person who you can rely on, right? That
yeah, yeah,
you're the only one you can control.
yeah.
But
I mean,
bring us through that.
yeah, she basically, we were in an orphanage together, and there I realized like, okay, my dad left us. That's normal because I saw other family members were dropping their kids off at the front door at the orphanage where we were staying. And I thought, okay, well, that's what happens to families. I thought that was normal things. I wasn't too mad at dad after I realized what. But then my sister and I, we were comfortable living, and she was kind of working there as kind of like a staff, and I was too young, and I couldn't really walk. I couldn't walk at all, at that orphanage. And so out of the blue, my sister showed me a picture, like this size, and said, you know what? This is the place where I'm going to take you. And I'm like, why? I don't understand. You're like, I'm happy here. You and I are together. And she says, I have to take you there because that's where they're going to teach you how to walk. And I said, no, I'm not going there. You don't understand. I don't want to learn to walk. I'm fine just being here with you. So that was my thing. But she knew back of her mind that she had to provide me better future. She had to take me somewhere where they could teach me how to walk. And so
Yeah.
after like refusing it, after like, nope, no, thank you, I don't want it. I'm fine, I'm good. I'm just, you and me, and try die or you die, we're you and me together, it's just fine. I don't care where we live, but as long as I live with you, that's fine. But anyway, she ended up taking me there because she's a little bit older than me, so she had she had to watch out for my welfare. So she took me there, and I went to that orphanage, and I was like flabbergasted, and I was so shocked because I have never seen so many people in my life all at once. Every corner that I turned to that building was like deformed in some ways. Like, they were
Oh, wow.
walking with crutches, and they're getting around with the wheelchairs, and people were like, they were all handicapped. And I was so scared because, as a little girl, we see somebody different than us, and we go, oh my gosh, like, why does that person look like that, right?
Right,
But when
right.
she took me there, and everybody, like every hallways or every room that they showed me, it's like, wow, I was like so scared. And then there was me, like they probably thought it's like, wow, she can't even walk, because I couldn't walk at all. And so it was just like eye-opening. But after like probably like, I don't know, she talked to the orphanage workers, and I don't know what she was talking to. I think she was talking to them and saying how she could stay here with me and all that because she didn't, we were all promised each other like we were going to stay together. But I think that place was only for people that kids that couldn't walk or couldn't, whatever.
Yeah.
So she finally ended up lying to me and saying she had to go to the bathroom. And she pinky promised me, saying, like, I'll be back. I come for you, I'll be right back. I'll just go to the bathroom. And for some reason, like, I didn't believe her because every time, like, like when I had to go to the bathroom, she would have to take me. And so it was a normal thing for us to go to the bathroom together, right? But I didn't go with her every time she had to go. But this time, somehow it's like, I want to go with you. Like, let me go with you. Take me with you when you have to go to the bathroom because it was a strange place. And she goes, no, you can't. I'll be right back. So going back and forth so many times and holding hands, like I was just holding her hands for like life. And then she finally, like, she says, I really have to go, I really have to go. And I finally had to let her go because, like, that's what she had to tell me, like, I really have to go and I'll be right back for you. So I let her go, still had a hope. And like, I wasn't really paying attention, but by dinner time, everybody was eating dinner. They told me I gotta eat dinner. She didn't show up, and it was like all day long. So when I realized the moment that she never came back, the end of the day, after the dinner time and everything, of course I didn't eat dinner. I was just still waiting. I was still waiting for her to show up.
Yeah.
And that moment, before I went to bed, like all that, like I just didn't want to, there's nothing for me to live. I thought my life was just, yep, my life is over. Only person that I had a hope that I could hang on to, that I have a hope to take care of me, was gone. So the orphanage worker says, you gotta eat dinner, you gotta, do this and that. And I didn't talk to anybody. I didn't smile. So I decided that moment, Christine, that my life was going to be like this. I'm never gonna trust anybody. I'm never gonna talk to anyone. I'm never gonna smile. Those three
Oh,
things.
oh,
Yeah.
that's so sad.
Those three things I just ingrained it in my mind that that's how I was going to live my life. So basically, my life went on, and one of the orphanage workers showed me how I could learn to walk by just hanging onto the rails on the long hallways, because every single hallways had a big rails, like from one end to the other, because some kids use that to get themselves push and pull.
Yeah.
And so we didn't have any regular, physical therapists or any kind of therapist there, just a staff worker. And so she showed me, she says, you know what? This is what you need to do if you want to learn to walk is, so she didn't give me a pair of crutches or anything. She says, you need to hang on to this rail in this hallway. You got to learn to stand up. And she showed me what to do. And I said, okay. But when our first orphanage, when I was, before we went to our second orphanage where my sister dropped me off, at the first orphanage, I was watching other kids playing outside, and I thought, they're all normal. I never saw it. They were not, no, they're all normal walking and they're playing outside. And I thought to myself, it's like, oh, I want to be like them. I want to go outside and play, but I couldn't. But
Yeah.
maybe I'm just thinking, maybe my sister saw me wishing, looking out the window. Maybe that's why she showed me a picture of this place out of nowhere. She never talked to me about it. I never
Right.
told her that I wanted to learn to walk, you know. So anyway, so that's how we ended up. So I was just doing that at the second orphanage, just hanging onto the rail, and I would just stand up. And I did that for every single day for, I don't know, like a week or two, just hanging on, standing up, hanging up, standing up, hanging up. And then after a while, and then she says, okay, now you know how to do that. Now you're gonna hang onto the rail like you did. Now this time I want you to take a step, because she wasn't doing that with me every day. She just showed me once, and then she just had to take care of other kids. And then when she saw me, sometime, I don't know, like she noticed that I was doing progressing. So she says, now we're gonna take a step with holding onto the rail. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. It's like, yep, you gotta do that. So I hung onto rails with both hands each time, and I took a step, and then I would just stop. I would not keep taking a step. I would just take a step and I'd just stay there. And then I would take a step and I would stay there, just same spot. For doing that, and it took me nearly about 2 years to learn to
Wow.
walk that way.
So was there a
Long time.
physical reason, or is it just because you just hadn't ever, because of your life circumstances, that you just didn't have the normal development?
Yeah, so after I was so I learned to walk at age 7. So going forward, age 14, there's an American family wanted to adopt me from Utah, under the special needs of child, and that's why was, you know, uh, belong to that category. And so, yeah, so they took me to the doctor's offices and everything. And of course, my legs were crooked. So I did walk, but I walked, my legs were very crooked. I couldn't put my knees together when I tried to put knees together, sitting down.
Yeah.
So I have a pictures of all that and everything. But they did it, and they couldn't figure out why I did not learn to walk.
Yeah.
But they did do a surgery. They took cut off my growth plate on my legs and straightened my legs. And when I was in junior high and everything, and so, but when I went to college and took a nutritional class, and about being malnourished and everything, and
Yeah.
I thought, oh my gosh, everything, because I was never touched as a child. I don't remember being held.
Mm.
I don't ever remember going through the process of, crawling, and because I have 4 kids and I've seen my own eyes how I was raising my kids, like kids are learning to crawl. When they crawl, and I would put a toys way over there so they could learn to crawl for that toys. When
Right.
they
Yeah.
stood up, holding on to things, we would encourage them to say, stand up, stand up. And then when they take a first walk, it's like, come on, cut it, yay, all
Right.
those things. So I'm learning what I have missed as a mother.
Yeah.
So what a blessing to be a mother. Because
Yeah.
if I wasn't a mother and raising my kids and watching the child going through all those steps, step by step, I would have never known what I have missed. I
Yeah.
would have never known that I wasn't taken care of in such a way. So I learned so much, and I'm still learning as an entrepreneur. Like I'm in my, past 50s, but I'm still learning because everything is new. So every age that we go through is new, right? Like going through the menopause, going through the different stages in our life, everything's new because we have never lived through it before.
Right.
And then we also realize, like, okay, sometimes like we have this hang-ups about how we raised, how we were raised by our parents or whatever. And it's like, we thought it was so bad as a teenager. And then when we go through a certain experience in life, like being a mother or grandmother, it's like, oh, like my mother was like, she was very smart because like she did best she could as a mother at that time.
Yeah.
And like we go through, like we've done our best we can, the poor decisions that we have made. I'm sure that it affected our kids and myself as a mother and as a grandmother, whatever. But we realized, like, you know what, we did best we could at the time with the circumstances.
Exactly.
It doesn't mean that we were a good mother at the time, but yes,
Right. No,
we,
you did the best. You did it out of love. You did the best you could with the tools you
yeah,
had. That's all we can
yeah.
do. Yeah.
Yeah, so it is really like so everything like I go through my life, every stages of my life, and I'm thinking, wow, and I choose to be, have this attitude of like, wow, and grateful because the lessons that I get to learn. And so life is just really, really beautiful thing. It just depends on how you look at it, how you choose to show up, how you choose to go through experience, and how you speak it, and how you like embody yourself, with the attitude,
Right.
like I get to do, like I have this attitude, like I get to do it, like I have an opportunity to do it. Like I don't have to do anything. I could just sit at the couch or stay in bed. I don't have to do
Exactly.
anything, period. You know,
Exactly. The whole world is our oyster every single morning, and we can't,
yes,
it's overwhelming almost, right? We can't
yes,
squander it. Like I could get in the car right now, drive to New York City, have
yes,
like a
yeah,
go to a deli. I mean, that
yeah,
it's just a silly example, but yeah,
yeah,
every single morning. And we just like, oh, I gotta go to work. I gotta do that, I
yeah,
gotta do that.
yeah.
But so tell us about do you have a specialty of the type of people who you work with in your life coaching business and your
Hmm.
mentorship?
Yeah, so pretty much just, work with everybody, every different ages, just because I have learned from different stages of my life that, like aha moments and like a great gems, it's like, oh, so yeah, but mainly I work with like people that are like entrepreneurs and business owners and, like middle class hardworking people, which kind of goes with everybody, but I help them how to teach them the skills how to make money with option trading because
Oh,
that's my
okay. Interesting.
specialty. Yeah,
Okay.
because that's how I became a self-made millionaire is with option trading. After I
Okay.
retired, it was my hobby and turned into something like real because I thought, wow, I can't just let this go and just have fun treat it as like a hobby, and so, but I'm also, mentor and relationship coach as well because again, everything that I do that I've been suffering from, that I had a problems with, and I was able to figure out, and I have actually studied, and also it is part of my daily ritual, daily routine, daily things that I do as well as who I have become. And that's how I could teach people because
Yeah.
I know the results. I know the steps what you have to take and the results that you're able to enjoy, that I'm able to enjoy, that I'm living it now, right? Because one thing, knowing, but when you live it and you get to really benefit and enjoy the life from what you're doing is huge. And so if you don't
Absolutely.
if you don't take actions, you'll never know. If you don't take actions on anything that you learn, then you can say, "Oh, I learned this. It's great. Yeah, yep, 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 yep. I know it all." It's like
Put
I
in the
know it's
library. Never. Yeah.
right, right. Never lift it. Get that book open. So it is really important. And so another thing that I realized is like once we have accomplished the goal, we have to set up a next level of goal. The reason I want to talk about that is this. Again, like I said, there's every single moments in my life. There's so many things that I've done wrong. There's so many things that I just even thinking is like, oh my gosh, why? Why me? It's like, I can't do this anymore. But this is one of the examples that I really want to kind of give the scenario. So when I was in the orphanage, there was the second orphanage that we went, it was a rehab center. 100% of the kids were handicapped, but there's like 80% of the kids had a family, and then 20% of us were orphans. So the kids with the family, they got to have a visitors from their families, on the weekends, whatever. During the summer, some of them they got to go home and everything. But I noticed like whenever they come back with their families, they had a candies or special gums or whatever. Like they got to have it all. And I was watching other kids chewing a gum, and I thought, I want to chew a gum. But how am I going to chew a gum without any money? And I was too embarrassed to ask other kids, like, can I have a piece of gum? I'm sure they would have given it to me, but I was too embarrassed. We go through the moms, like, I don't dare to ask other people, like, can I get into your group? And the kids with, like high school, junior high, like,
Yeah.
why? Like, you're not my type, that type. So I was so embarrassed to ask them for a piece of gum. So I was like, I'm going to chew a gum. So my friend and I, we went outside of the orphanage, and I remember getting a gum off the street. I don't know if this is kind of gross, but I have to tell the way it is, right? So I remember picking up a gum from the street and just like outside of our orphanage building, and I was picking it up and I was like, okay, here's a gum. It's been chewed on, walked on so many times, how many years? I don't know. Because I had to pick it out from the concrete or streets or whatever. And I picked out all the gum, the rocks, the big rocks that I could see, and then I picked out as much as I can. I know it's gross, and and uh, and I didn't realize this at the time, but I just wanted to chew gum. It was my goal that day. I wanted to chew gum. I wanted to look cool like other kids. So I picked up all the rocks and pebbles and things, and I chewed it. And I felt so good. And it's a little crunchy. But because it was a little
Maybe
teeny,
missed a couple little pieces of gravel.
right. So it was crunchy, and so I thought, but I felt so cool. It's like my friends and I were like, yeah, we're so cool. And I'm sure I was probably about 10 or 12, 10 or 11 or 12, that age.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I felt so cool because I was chewing a gum just like other kids. It was a little crunchy. Now, now let me talk about this parable here. I came to America. And I got to buy my own gum. Now, like I'm older, whatever. And I had I had a job, and I have my own money, and I got to buy gum. And I went to store to buy a gum, and I could not believe, like there were so many flavors, so many different colors, and there was like a bubble gum, like you could blow bubbles. I mean, like I just can't believe, like so many choices. And I could buy as many gum as I could, and I could buy anytime. I didn't have to wait 10 years to buy gum. Like I could have, when I realized that moment of like, what? I could buy gum? So I did buy gum. And my mother says, yeah, you could buy different kinds of gums, spearmints and double mint, bubble gums, whatever. I'm talking, showing my age here, really long, like, anyway. So I bought a bubble gum at the time, and they showed me how to blow. So I had to learn, like, but when I chewed a gum, Christine, it was so smooth. The gum was not crunchy, and the gum had a flavor, like strawberry flavor, watermelon flavor. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is like so real. So now listen, for your listeners, and I remind myself this all the time. My goal was to chew a gum that day in second orphanage, and I accomplished it. If I would have never had another goal, next level up, if I would have never had like I want to chew gum, and never chewed a gum until rest of my life. In my mind, I would say, okay, gum does not have a flavor. Gum is crunchy.
Yeah.
That's how I'm going to live my life. And when I
Believe.
yeah, believe. And even after I die, that's how my memory is about the gum. It's like, yeah, no flavor and crunchy. But because I wanted to, chew a gum, it was a cool experience. And I got to, so when I chewed a gum, this time it was new. It had a flavor and I could buy my own. I didn't have to dig out of the walkways. And so at this moment, uh, accomplishing my second goal is like, I want to chew gum again, right? Much older and in different circumstances, different place, that I have a whole new experience with the same goal, like I want to chew gum. Think about that. So like I want to, like I made $1 million doing option trading. Why stop there? And just by saying, look, I want to make more money, it does not make me like I'm a greedy person. It's all about setting up a new goal because, to me, money is like a tool. Money is actual tool. If you don't have a tool, if you don't have enough tool, you can't do so many things. Like you have to have a tool to drive your car. Well, if you have a tool, which is money, then you could buy a car. And if you don't have a tool or money to put a gas in the car, you can't drive a car once you buy it, right? Same
Yep.
thing. So I think of a money as a tool. And so it's really important to realize like, yeah, I want to make more money. I want to, you know, get up to next level, like, maybe, 3, 4, 5, 10 million or billions dollars, things like that. It's not being, my old mindset is like, oh my gosh, how can you're so greedy because you already made your $1 million. Why would you want to? Like, don't you have enough money? That is our mindset, right? But no, when I make more money, I could contribute. I could contribute to any, like any,
Exactly.
like nonprofit churches or whatever. It's like I get to do more
Right.
you know
Exactly.
and when I have more tools I get to get involved in more things and helping more people and
Yep.
just how you think about it. So
Yeah,
it's really
absolutely.
important, like we can't stop that. Like I'm not going to stop chewing gum and like, I'm not going to never taste a gum or ever do that because otherwise that would be my belief about chewing gum is like crunchy and like no
No flavor.
flavors. Yeah,
Yep.
just
So
realizing
yeah,
that.
no, you're absolutely right. And but even if your goal were different, right?
Yeah,
Like $1 million, now my goal is to sail around the world. Whatever it is, if we
yeah,
don't have a goal, then what are we doing, right? We don't
yeah.
have anything to drive us. You're like,
Yeah,
okay, yeah, I got $1 million. So what now? I think I'm just gonna sit
yeah,
on the couch, maybe I'll
yeah,
play golf for the rest of my life, right? We need,
yeah,
as humans, we
yeah.
need something to push us forward. We need something
We do.
to keep us excited and engaged. And right, I feel like that's what life is all about, is just like
Yeah,
challenging yourself constantly so that you're never just like complacent and sitting around and okay, I did
yeah.
that. Now what? Got the t-shirt or whatever.
Well, I remember when I was talking to my doctor when I wanted to retire, it was my dream job. I was certified medical assistant for 33 years. And you have to let your coworkers know when you're going to retire. So in 2014, I told my doctor, I said, I'm going to retire. And him and I were like 2 weeks apart in age wise, so pretty close. And
Yeah.
he says like, can you afford it? And I was like, no, I cannot afford to retire, because my mindset was
I
like,
get 2 more weeks, so don't worry.
yeah, yeah, like I gotta work, I gotta work. I can't retire, right? Because I didn't have any savings or, my checking was, savings account. But he told me, he says, he says, I gotta at least save $1 million. I gotta at least save $1 million because by the time we retire, because, he was probably thinking about retiring when he was in his 60s, whatever, 60, I don't know what, but and I said to myself, like, oh, I'll never make 1 million. I can, I don't even have any savings. And like, if I retire, then I can't even touch my 401k or pension plan because I'm planning on retiring within a year.
Totally.
Because
Yeah.
he says, like, when are you going to retire? So within a year. He's like, you got, really? Like, are you prepared? I'm like, no, I'm not prepared. But I didn't tell him that I only had a $10 in my checking account, because he would think that I would be so like that doesn't make sense. Like, how can you retire within a year? You only have a $10, but I didn't tell him that, But I just told him like I want to retire. So I did to retire exactly within a year from the conversations. 2015, I retired. But having made that, with option trading, became a millionaire, and I realized I know what he's talking about now. $1 million, it really isn't a much,
No,
right?
it's really
Really
not.
isn't a much. But, as an investor, I'm a financial investors and also, real estate investors as well. And when you think about it, and I'm so grateful, to me, like my creator has showed me the path. My creator, like I cannot do everything on my own. I have to really lean on my creator, which is God for me,
Mhm.
really is. And it's different for everybody. But for me, I really have to rely on him and just say, thank you for showing me this pathway. Like decisions that I have made, it's not always been successful, right? But at the time, I didn't think that it was the thing. But when we go to opportunities, like first when I went to real estate investor a seminar, they're the one that kind of introduced me to option trading. They're like, well, you guys gonna make so much money as an investor, as a real estate, like, you gotta learn to diversify and invest your money. And like, what is that? What does that look like? And they're like, well, we have a courses that you could take, about option trading. And it's like, what is the option trading? Like, I have never heard about it. And and they said, you got to use a computer. Oh, automatically, my old mind says, oh, no, thank you. I don't want it. I hate learning computers. Like, I don't even like to check emails. So I'm out. So how many times do we do that about ourselves in life? We go through and then someone says, you know what? Like we go to a motivational speaking places and we listen and then uh, we want to do that thing, but then they're like, well, you got to have this and this and that. It's like, nope, I don't have any money and I hate computers. I don't want to learn new skills, especially at my age, like, no, no. We give ourselves so many excuses as to why,
Yeah.
right? As to why X, Y, Z, instead of focusing on like, you know what? Yeah, I'm gonna try it.
Yeah,
I'm gonna keep
exactly.
trying
What's the
until
worst that
there's,
could happen, right?
that's right. It's got to be better than the situation that you're in now,
Yep.
you know? And so we need to stop giving ourselves or thinking or talking about why we cannot, but we have to think about like, yes, why not me? It's like, yes, I could walk like those kids, you know? Yes, I could make money like those rich people. We don't have to know what they did to make money. Like I didn't ask my kids like, how did you learn to walk? Because
Right.
I just saw them, like watch them in a playground.
Yeah. Well, and it's natural, right? It's
Yeah,
actually our natural state to be abundant, and it's just, when we block ourselves off from that, that's when we don't understand how it could be so easy. But then once you open up, you're like, oh, actually, it is easy.
yeah,
So, Sun Young, I mean, I love talking with you, as you know. So, but we're getting kind of late here. So,
okay.
is there anything that you wish I would have asked you that we haven't touched on, something that you want to leave people with as they tune out for the day?
Yeah, I think that it's really, really important to live with like a gratitude, like really focus on the things that what we have versus like what we don't have,
Yeah,
because
exactly.
it takes you to another place. It really does. Being grateful for
Absolutely.
everything that you have and don't ever, 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 ever compare yourself to others. Only compare yourself to where you were, 10 years ago, 5 years ago,
Yeah,
20 years ago,
yeah,
really. And and then when every morning, like when you wake up, like, yeah, there's so many things that we could do, like so many things that we could do. But what is something that we have to get done today? Because you always have to leave a time for unexpected things, you know, because there's
yeah,
always things that unexpected things comes up, right? And you can't say, oh no, I can't do that because you know why? Like, like one day, like we had a basement flooded because our kitchen sink was clogged or whatever. But we didn't think that it was kitchen because it was way down below. But I had all these things to do, but this happened and that's an urgent thing. So we have to really,
you have to, yeah,
have some time reserved for yourself and also unexpected things, right?
Yeah.
But so you have to think about like what is the priority like we have to do? Like what is the one thing that you have to get done before you go to bed tonight? Really focus
Yeah.
on that, you know,
Yeah.
but really live with like a positive attitude, be grateful, and just say out loud. You have to say out loud and say, you know what, not just recognizing it and then be silent and saying, you know, oh yeah, that's nice, and give a little smile. No, you have to say, you know what, I have so much, like I'm spoiled brat because I have so many things. You know, like you have
Exactly.
to realize when you think about it, and you think about it, it's like, you know what, I'm really like a millionaire. You know,
Yeah.
that's what makes you feel like, you know, being rich. I said, you know what? I feel like I am a millionaire because I'm able to buy gum anytime I want, as many
Exactly.
gum as I want. Like I'm a millionaire because I could
Any
buy,
flavor, any color, you got it.
right, exactly. Like I could buy more than one outfit today if I choose to. That's what makes me a millionaire too. Not only I made it financially, real count and things like that, but when you realize like how much you have more than enough.
Right.
We really do have more than enough. So be grateful, live with the gratitude, live with the positive attitude, and say it out loud and nurture yourself and tell yourself that, you know, you're a good person,
Excellent.
good
Excellent advice.
mother. Yeah.
Th-
Good
Thank you, Sun
grandmother,
Young.
good father, all those things. Yes.
So all of your contact details are going to be in the show notes. I don't think you need to read them here because you gave me a bunch of
No.
links. So those are all
Yes.
going to be in the show notes. So if you want to continue this conversation with Sun Young and have some of your own kind of cool, interesting insights and have her shine her light on you, then reach out and see some of her cool videos with her sunglasses on upside down and whatever else she's going to share today. And in the meantime, have a fabulous week and be sure to be here next week.